Hey everyone, welcome to our episode 3 of our AI Tech Talk focused on company success tips. In the last two episodes, we in general talked about how to get venture money or how to partner for AI startup. Today, based on the questions that I have so far, we'll focus on something fundamental. What is an AI startup? And that is what the first question is. What actually is an AI startup? Artificial intelligence, as you all know, is a little bit a broad term that includes machine learning, that includes deep learning, that includes normal statistical learning as well. And to be an AI startup, do we use technology? Is it about using a specific technology? Is it about the product? And that's where the definition of an AI startup is. A simple example, for example, is General Motors a AI startup or an AI company? I would say no, because their product is selling a car. Their core technology is not in artificial intelligence, it's in building cars, building reliable cars. Tesla is a great example as well. They use artificial intelligence for autonomous driving and lots of other different things as well. But does that make it an AI startup? I would say no. Today, in today's world, AI is a lot like internet that was about 10 or 20 years back, where you cannot really build a startup without using internet. 10 years back, it was about you cannot really build a startup without using some kind of cloud technology, which has made it easier for you to deploy, make your MVP, get customers, and build a product. This is where we are right now with artificial intelligence, where to some extent AI is part of each and every product you can think of. But that doesn't mean any company that uses AI makes it an AI startup. And I've heard of so many times where even some of the investors are not really able to comprehend whether this is an AI startup, or do we pay a premium to investing in this company because they're using artificial intelligence. And that's why you need to ask the next question. How important is that artificial intelligence technology? Number one. Number two, is this artificial intelligence technology unique or novel? Which is usually not the case, because as we all know, artificial intelligence is not a new topic. Even deep learning has been there for the last 40 years. It's only in the last 20 years or so that it becomes practical to use deep learning at a large scale. What it boils down to is the overall technology and how core is the technology to the survival of that company. And that's what defines a AI startup. If a company or a startup is building artificial intelligence, where they are really trying to come up with a new form of artificial intelligence, or even using an existing artificial intelligence algorithm, but coming up with something unique and novel that they may include in their product, or they may sell it as a platform. And that's what is termed as an artificial intelligence startup or AI startup. And that also relates to what is called deep tech or deep technology startups. And to some extent, a core artificial intelligence startup will be a deep tech startup. The second question I have is, being a CEO of an AI startup, what do you look for when hiring AI engineers? That's an excellent question. My focus when hiring AI engineers or engineers in general is being to really see if they know their subject well. And artificial intelligence as a subject is just one of those things. The other things to think about to implement an AI algorithm or to use libraries for artificial intelligence, you will need to be really good in a specific programming language. We use Python for pretty much everything. It's a well-known fact. You need to have a lot of experience in Python if you want to be an AI engineer at Skive. To some extent, this is okay if you are not that knowledgeable about AI, or you don't know what deep learning is, or what reinforcement learning is, or even what's the difference between supervised and unsupervised learning. That is okay because those things are easier to comprehend. It's easy for us to train you in that. What's harder is to really get you to write a piece of code that's efficient, that's optimized, and that does the job really, really, really well. The second thing is to be flexible. And that is very well true for Skybit, but that's also the case for a lot of the other startups as well, where they're trying to build something new and unique. And for that, it's just not straightforward for you to know everything up front, as long as you have decent programming skills. For that, you need to be smart. You need to be able to pick up a topic really, really fast. And that's what I look for when I'm interviewing AI engineers. And to some extent, the same framework expands to other areas as well. It's not just about AI engineers. In general, engineering is the same thing. Even for non-technical roles like marketing and business development. If somebody is smart, he or she could very easily come up with new ideas on how to market a product, how to approach a partner, or how to approach an investor, or how to build a product itself. And those are some of the skills I always look at. Being smart, being trustable, being able to adapt, being flexible. And on the engineering side, to have at least some skill set. Programming is one of them. Okay, our next question is, what is a good time to focus on building a business development team in a deep technology startup like yours? We already touched upon this area where what entails to be a good team and what is an artificial intelligence startup. An AI startup or a deep tech startup is a startup where you're really focusing on the technology from the get-go because you're creating the base code, you're creating something that's new and novel. So obviously you will need a lot more engineering resources or technical resources in the beginning. But at the same time, you do want to be customer focused. You do want to be talking to the customers. You do want to be looking at various partners who you could partner with. And you want to start that early so that you know what you are building is in need, is in demand, and you're going in the right direction. One thing I'm careful about, and I will also say this, other founders should be careful about, or other business folks should be careful about. If you're trying to build something unique, something where the market is not very well defined, or you're trying to create a new market, the customers may not know what they want. A great example is Amazon Alexa or Amazon Echo. When Amazon Echo first came out, if you ask somebody that, will you like to have this roundy thing which a very white roundy thing that's not really beautiful next to your living room or in your bedroom all the time where you can talk to it? The answer would be no. Why would I want to do that? And that's some of the conversations the team at Amazon had that time, where they got different views from different set of people, but at the same time, on internally they knew that this is something that the customer may want in the future. They knew the utility of something like that, which did not exist in the past, and they went ahead. And Amazon Echo is one of the most successful product for Amazon, and now we have a lot more smart speakers that are similar. So listening to the customer is important, but to some extent. The important piece is to start doing that sooner than later. Yes, you're building an engineering team because you're a deep tech startup, but at the same time, you do want to focus on customers and partners and investors as well. And that's something that takes time. Lastly, it's also the cultural aspect that you are building a team, and to have a team that's well balanced, you don't want everyone to be engineers. You want designers. If there's a design component in the product, which usually it is, you need marketing and business development team. And the combination of all this makes the team successful. The role of a marketing person or a role of a business development person will change over time. Initially, it's much more on trying to talk to customers, getting requirements from the customers, talking to partners and see what will entail to get them to talk to you. And usually this phase is also called the elephant phase. And then in the future, when you have a product ready, that's where the action begins, where you are in the hunter mode, where you have a product which you have talked with some customers already. You know it's something that people will buy and will be willing to pay for it. Now is the time to get into the hunter mode, where the same marketing and business development team that you have been working on could be scaled, will be scaled in your product, and can then be scaled to reach more and more customers. And that approach really works well. The important piece here is that you want to start that process early. You may not even have a product, or you may not have written even a single line of code, but you should be talking to customers. These things are very important when you're talking about AI startups, because using a cool technology is piece of the overall puzzle. A lot of the time where we end up is that we just fall in love with our technology. Oh, I want to really make this thing better. Or I want to add 4 more features because it's AI and AI could do it. And that's where being customer focused becomes important, because customer focused will first of all tell you which direction you want to go to, and more important, which direction probably you may not want to go to, so that your engineering team could really focus in one direction, building a product that customers love. Okay, folks, thanks for the questions. Feel free to reach out to us. We are indeed hiring, so if you're interested, talk to us. We are hiring both on the engineering and on the non-technology front. Thanks, and I'll see you next time. Bye.